Welcome to Tara Institute, everybody, on this coldish night, but nice day. In the past weeks I've been talking about a whole lot of different things, but I'll say the refuge prayer and then I'll sort of explain something about it. I've had a sort of little theme going, which is like the things that, you know, in the refuge prayer it says that a bodhisattva with an awakened mind has acquired qualities for that awakened mind or that bodhicitta mind and has abandoned other negativity. So in the first couple of weeks I talked about what we should abandon, you know, in order to have a sort of aware, clear, subdued mind, as they say, a subdued mind. And also talked about what we need to adopt, which is, you know, love and compassion. And we need to get rid of any anger and attachment. And we need to adopt lots of things. But basically, we're just trying to be happy, really. We're just trying to, you know, get rid of anything that disturbs us. And all the work is really in our mind, because it's not, the problems are out there, but they're made worse in our mind, or they're, you know, if we deal with the negativities and the things that we need to abandon, then we'll have a lot calmer mind, we'll have a lot more awareness, we'll, you know, be generally happier. So anyway, I say the refuge prayer is sort of denotes typically Buddhist, this sort of Buddhism, which is Mahayana Buddhism. And the Mahayana Buddhism are they're the guys who want to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. There's other Buddhist lineages that you know, they go for liberation, but the liberation is not so much about doing it for the sake of sentient beings, of all sentient beings. It's more to have personal liberation and attain nirvana, which is okay, which is fine, which is a really high state. But the Mahayana Buddhists, the refuge prayer is, you know, from that practice, the Mahayanas. So I'll just say the refuge prayer. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma and the highest assembly. From the virtuous merit that I collect by practicing giving and other perfections, may I attain the state of a Buddha to be able to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma and the highest assembly. From the virtuous merit that I collect by practicing giving and other perfections, may I attain the state of a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma and the highest assembly. From the virtuous merit that I collect by practicing giving and other perfections, may I attain the state of a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Now, so that is delineates, the Mahayana Buddhists. And it's basically saying that we take refuge in the Buddha. A Buddha, there's like thousands of, there have been thousands of them, there will be more, but most of the stories in connection are with the Shakyamuni Buddha. So there's lots of people have become enlightened, and a Buddha just means an enlightened or an awakened mind that has no you know, negativities, none whatsoever, but also has other very high qualities like compassion and wisdom, and has abandoned all the others. So I talked about abandoning, because in order to have an awakened mind, I mean, like, you know, I'm talking about an awakened mind. I think that in the process, just getting a happy mind, you know, getting a sort of a calm, subdued mind, but one that's aware that has clarity and awareness, let alone, attaining supreme enlightenment. So I mentioned the 10 non-virtues that we are urged to abandon. And they talk about different types of practitioners. So they talk about a lesser sort of practitioner whose aim is to not have a good rebirth next life, to not go to a lower realm. That's a lower sort of aim. And for that, one, if they say to practice the 10 non-virtues, which are, no killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, which means, no sexual activity that hurts other people, or oneself, I suppose. And then other things like, wanting, covetousness and lying and harsh speech and wrong views, and they're all to be avoided if we want to have a higher rebirth, meaning a human rebirth. And then we need to develop compassion, love and compassion. So I thought I'd talk a bit about meditation. So as you've probably heard from other teachings, there's 2 types of meditation. And meditation is about maintaining the happy mind. It's about maintaining that, not letting the negative stuff in. That's really, it's about holding, either a clear mind, focusing on your breath, or focusing on like an idea to deepen the experience of it, So that's more analytic meditation, and single-pointed meditation or concentration is just focusing on the one thing. The analytic is analysing and, going into some more depth about a topic. So we've done a few different meditations, but I thought we could just do a breathing meditation, which is, as I say, just focusing on our breath. And if we find ourselves thinking, like thoughts, invading or coming in, we just focus back on our breath. So we have our breathing nice and even, not sort of longer inhaling or exhaling, and we just focus on that, and we, as I say, if anything pops up in our mind, we just go back to the breathing. And it's good to sort of visualize it. Apparently the air, the air going to have some sort of sensation of it, or one can just be aware of one's, chest, diaphragm, whatever, going in and out, or counting one exhalation and one exhalation out. So the meditation position is, if you can do the lotus position, the legs up here and feet there like that, that's very good. So anyway, it's mainly about having a relaxed posture. Back straight is good because, it just lets the air flow and the energy flow sort of better. And we have our head sort of facing like at our eyes 45-degree angle, but our eyes should be sort of closed, so we don't, we're not stimulated by the light and that. And our breathing, as I said, and our hands, however's comfortable, really. But the back straight, I think, is important, and our arms relaxed, and our shoulders relaxed. So usually we have a motivation for our meditation, because then if we have a good motivation, the experience should be good. And if our motivation's sort of a bit, not undecided, that's not as good. So we think that we've got to do this meditation to experience a calm mind and the ability to just control and have some focus on our breath, like to control our breathing rather than, and to control our mind rather than it control us. And ultimately to, become enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings. May it be a cause. So we'll do some breathing for maybe 5-10 minutes. Take a few maybe deep breaths first. Get rid of any tension. Okay, we'll stop there. So any difficulties with that? No. No. No, some people say they just fall asleep straight away, almost like. So that's quite common, to fall asleep, you know. I suppose, and some people say that they can't stop their mind racing. Well, my daughter, when I'd say to her, you know, just breathe through your nose and, you know, try and do some meditating, she'd say, look, my mind's like an ant's nest, you know, I can't. So sometimes we can't, you know, our mind is racing because that's how our mind is most of the time. Thoughts, you know, going through, like we're always sort of thinking all this stuff. So it's not easy to develop a meditation technique. They say it's lifetimes, you know, lifetimes of practice. But recommended to do a minute or two and then work it up to half an hour, say. I'm sure we've all got half an hour, even if it's late at night, maybe, I don't know. Or then we fall asleep, definitely. So I thought as just a sort of, you know, thinking, well, a motivation to practice Dharma. What does practice Dharma mean? It means you don't have to necessarily be a Buddhist, but Dharma is, in a sense, it sort of means action, sort of, or doing something. So practicing Dharma is, to a certain extent, you know, wanting to develop our mind, wanting to get rid of things that might disturb us or make us unhappy, listening to teachings, yes, which is good, and developing love and compassion, basically. So that's sort of practicing Dharma. So they talk about, and I think as a way of motivating ourselves, we are what we call a precious human rebirth, which you've probably heard other teachers talk about, but we have the ideal opportunity, the realm of a human, being a human, means you've got an incredible opportunity to meditate and to develop all those qualities, you know, the awareness, you know, like realizations and compassion and love and wisdom, the wisdom realizing emptiness. So we have that, you know, being a human, we have all those abilities. But just because we're a human, I mean, there's lots of people on this planet who don't have any opportunities. You know, they weren't born physically, mentally capable of listening or acting or anything like that. They weren't like us. They're not like us. We have actually have an interest, and we've, you know, had an interest in Buddhist teaching. So we're lucky because a Buddha has taught in this world, and there's a community that supports that. And we're not in a lower realm. We're not in a hell realm, like, or a hungry ghost realm, or an animal realm, or even a higher God realm. They say that is like a bit of a trap, because if one's born in a higher godly realm, one is just in a state of supreme nirvana, you know, supreme bliss. And one doesn't come out of that until that karma is ripened. So it's not ideal, because as a human, you can develop more qualities. As a human, you can meditate, you can develop, you know, compassion, you can develop wisdom, all those things. But you can't in any other life form. So they call it a precious human rebirth. And there's some stories about it. I mean, you know, there's like a story, the one of the turtle swimming around under the ocean and coming up to breathe only once in 100 years and happening to put his head through a golden ring floating on the surface. That's how rare a precious human life is. Precious because we have the connection with the Dharma, and we can hear and think, and we can try to meditate. And, you know, we're not born in a realm of prohibitive political and social repression. You know, we are free to do that. So we have a precious human rebirth, which, believe it or not, is very fortunate. And it enables us to, you know, through this to have future lives as humans with awakened minds. So not only there's lots of there's another story about apparently a disabled person fell. I was reading all this stuff. A disabled person fell from a first floor or something. This is in Tibet, I think, onto an ass, and the ass ran off. And people finally found them, and he was laughing and saying, "Oh, you know, like this is." They said, "Why are you laughing?" He said, "Oh, because this is the only opportunity I'll ever have to ride on an ass." And that's meant to be analogous to having a precious human rebirth, because it's the only chance we're going to get. We've probably all created good causes to have a human life in future. So the main causes are morality and not worrying about the 8 worldly concerns, which are, you know, wanting praise and not wanting, you know, negative things said, wanting things and not wanting to not get possessions, not wanting to be blamed, not wanting blame, wanting to rise higher and not wanting to go lower. So they're all the sorts of things that. So I wrote some things. So this talking about how rare a precious human rebirth is okay. It's to motivate us, you know. So because it is very, very rare. It's as rare as, you know, the grains of sand going on the finger when you do that, apparently, and the other, you know, all other humans are you know, sort of like the sand, you know, all the people who can't access the Dharma. So I thought we could. So the other things that we need to. That's meant to motivate us, but the other things that we, you know, we're urged to practice. Giving, as I said in the refuge prayer, by giving, we can in our next lives and even in this life, but you know, have some sort of financial comfort, and also for future lives, we would be born with the habit of giving. We would be born in with some sort of wealth. And also ethics, one can't really have a sort of, you know, meditation practice if one sort of has committed very negative things, has a very negative mind, you know, is sort of, you know, jealous and angry and resentful and all that. It's very difficult to practice, you know, meditation with those sorts of negativities. So that sort of ethical you know, if you sort of are inclined to kill things or steal or that sort of thing, you know, I think it generally disturbs one's mind. And so there's patience as well. Patience is not just not getting mad, like, you know, not just going, all right, I have to sort of control this. It's actually not feeling annoyed at the person, you know, not getting angry, or it's a very advanced practice, the pure practice of patience. But we're to practice patience. Patience gives us a pleasant physical appearance, according to karma. And the next one is what sounds a bit old-fashioned, joyous effort, which is really just enthusiasm. So we're encouraged to be enthusiastic about practice. You know, not think, oh, no, I can't do this today, you know, I'm too busy today, or it doesn't work for me, or so. Joyous effort is about, you know, sort of, practicing, you know, wanting to develop those mental qualities and working towards it, you know. Deciding maybe to do 1 minute of meditation a day. I think better in the morning for meditating, but I think we're doing okay here tonight. And then we have this concentration. So another perfection, another virtue is concentration. So that's what with meditation. Meditation helps with concentration, definitely. And you know, maybe someone said to me, "Oh, but you know, is it dumbing down a bit? You know, like sort of just focusing on your breath." Well, no, it's not. It's making your mind clearer, except if you don't fall asleep for the whole session. But those problems, those difficulties with maybe falling asleep, one does overcome. It's just that they are, you know, it's initially when you sort of try to meditate, you know, or try to just focus on something. So, and also the you know, the chatter in our head, in our mind, that we can deal with that. You know, the more practice of anything, the better we get. And the knowledge that we've got a precious human rebirth is meant to really inspire us, because it is very rare. I know there's lots of Buddhists in India and Tibet, but compared to the number of humans in the whole world, they're a very small number. And so to come across the teachings is likened to that turtle. So anyway, so I thought we could do another meditation on the precious human rebirth. This one I'll sort of lead, or so I'll be, you know, talking, sort of. And we think about it. I didn't dedicate the last meditation, but we have a motivation and a dedication. Dedication is where we, you know, wish that all the good stuff we got from that it will be beneficial out there, you know, and that it will be beneficial for us as well, but also that it will be a cause for us to help all beings. So that's the ultimate cause. And the reason the Mahayana Buddhists say that they're a different vehicle is because their field of focus is all sentient beings, is to bring them to enlightenment. Whereas maybe some of the other lineages, their focus is to attain personal liberation, which is a pretty mighty thing, but we've got to, you know, the motivation has to be to become enlightened to benefit all beings. That's the ultimate one. And I mean, involved in that involved in, helping, wanting to become enlightened so that you can show the path to other sentient beings, that apparently, that's bodhicitta mind, apparently that makes one incredibly happy. It's like much more happy than focusing on ourselves. Ultimately, people with the bodhicitta awakened mind, all their needs are met. They have a completely happy, mind, free of negativity and disturbances, so which is worth thinking about. Okay, so we can get in the meditation position, nice and relaxed, and think that we're going to do this for the benefit of all beings. So we'll start to bring our mind to a clear, calm state, just by focusing on our breath. And our motivation is to appreciate the precious human rebirth and ultimately to become enlightened. So we think about, how do we feel about ourselves, about our life, our personality, our accomplishments, our abilities. Are we satisfied, and do we have, or do we think we have many faults? Do we sometimes feel inadequate, discouraged, or hopeless? Even if you're feeling your general state of mind is positive, recall a past time when you felt depressed or discouraged. And make a determination to get rid of this tendency to feel upset or hopeless or discouraged. So we compare, in order to get a better perspective on our life, we compare our life to others worse off. What it would like to be an animal, deeply ignorant, with no potential for mental and spiritual development, controlled by others, experience the perpetual round of hunger, thirst, heat and cold, and living always in fear of death. or being a beggar on the streets of India, or living in an environment that's a dry environment, no water, no food, no time to think of anything else. Or even as a person with no opportunity to develop. Or having severe handicaps where we can't meet the Dharma. Or being in a country where there's total political repression. Or war, being in a war. Compared to those examples of animals or people with destitute people with no chance of improvement, our lives are much better. Our problems are not half as difficult as they are. And we should develop compassion for them. Think how we wish for all those beings to be free from suffering, and have a wish that if we could do something about it. Now bring to mind all the good qualities and advantages of our lives. We're human beings, we have intelligent minds, loving hearts and healthy bodies. We have friends and family which support us. We have the good fortune to live in a country comparatively free of social and political oppression. And we have countless opportunities to pursue our creative, intellectual and social interests. And we have the opportunities to go anywhere and do anything. We enjoy a good standard of living, and most of all, we have the potential and opportunity, because of the other benefits, to investigate, understand, and transform our mind. So if we think how few people or even creatures on earth share these freedoms that we have, and if we consider this deeply, we'll realise how rare and precious a life like ours is, and really appreciate our good fortune And so if we can see that the restrictions that our life is free from and the advantages we have, how best can we use these precious opportunities we have? Work, travel, enjoyment, study, and these are simply the mundane opportunities. So the greatest benefit we have is for spiritual development and transformation of our mind. So try to see the limitations of a lifestyle geared solely to materialistic gain. Think of the insignificance of fame, wealth, reputation, sensual indulgence when compared to the goal of enlightenment. Why aspire to only temporal achievements when we are capable of so much more? So our power to control our mind and through it to achieve enlightenment should become clear to us. So how, with such power, can you possibly feel hopeless and depressed? So we dedicate the energy and the inspiration from this meditation to the ultimate happiness of all beings. So we can finish there, that. So I think it is very, very true that we do have these opportunities. Incredible, but we don't, I don't know, we just sort of let our minds fill with other stuff, you know. We do have this incredible opportunity, but it's not easy, I suppose. We're in our life and we're, carried away with what we have to do. But at least if we can try and put some of these things into practice. I've seen benefits in other people who've done that. So any problems with any of that? Any questions? No? So anyway, I know it sounds a bit far-fetched, but I think it's, when you consider the statistics and all that of it, that the amount of people, humans, who've got this precious human rebirth, and we have, it's, statistics, because there's so many beings in the hell realms, like the amount of beings in, I had it written down somewhere, not the amount, but it's like, the amount of beings in the hell realm is just like, uncountable. And the hungry ghost realms that the Buddhists talk about. Well, they say the hungry ghosts they're sentient beings who have big bellies, sort of, like and they suffer from... I can't see them, no, but apparently, I don't know, Rinpoche said that they exist, that they are one of the Buddhist realms, and that they've got tiny mouth and big stomach, and their eyes bigger than their stomach, and they can't get enough food or water, apparently. Like they can't, they're always looking for water and food. Yeah, there are realms of that. Of hungry ghosts, or pretas, they call them. Tibetans call them pretas. So, and there are a huge amount of them, more than animals apparently. And animals are, animals including insects are uncountable, I think. So I mean, you have to check up all this. Do you think there are pretas? I mean, I think that people I've sort of seen who are great practitioners, who I might have, I've sort of not known, but seen. I think you can attain like a really clear mind, and they can see past lives, so they can see, like, I mean, I know it sounds a bit like a sort of fairy tale, but apparently we are warned against becoming a preta or a hungry ghost. And then there's the animals, the suffering of animals is, and then, and then people. So, is all okay, is it? It's really about motivating. The precious human rebirth is really about motivating us to do something right here and now, because when we die, we might not have the opportunity to. I know it sounds like, Buddhists do talk a lot about dying, but I think that's really important because, we don't want to die with like huge, mental worry and problems and things. We need to have a strong, calm mind. We don't want to be overwhelmed by that. Like I know the Geshe-la says, if any of us older ones go up to him, he says, how are you? We say, oh, we're sort of okay. He says, oh yeah, ready for a new body. As cutting as that. So they're the teachings, to develop a calm mind and a strong mind, and a mind with realizations of like impermanence and, and death. And death. So the aim is really to just, have a happy mind. Like, have a subdued mind. They talk about subdued mind a lot. So anyway, plenty to think about and plenty to be motivated by. Okay, no other questions? I'll let you go. Back to sleep. Pleasure.